Back here with Coach Mangini, we're going viral. So Sam Darnold threw for 68 yards and a touchdown against the Giants last night. And lucky for us, the second-year QB was mic'd up at practice, preparing for the game. Take a listen.
Man, that Gatorade's on point today. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's like extra sugar, too, though. A little bit extra juice in there. Yeah! That was just a sink. Yeah! Oh, that's even worse. Recalibrate. Oh, 2 minute, baby. Let's go. Wait, hit. Let's go, baby. Let's go, Q. Hey. Baby. Too easy.
Too easy. Oh, you got beef with that?
Oh.
I mean,
I just wish I could have that 30 seconds of my life.
Oh!
Coach, I love all the mic'd up segments.
I'm just waiting.
Say something.
Say something.
Say something.
Look, we had Sam
I'm giving up
Darnold.
on you.
He said too easy. He said something.
Well,
Go ahead, Jenna. I'm sorry.
The Giants did have trouble with bunches and sacks last night. It did look a little too easy.
Look, we had Sam Darnold sit out here before everything got started for him in this league completely. Last year, was it after the draft or right before the draft? And he was quiet, a little shy, and we wondered if he was just going to be able to be that vociferous guy we want at that position. And he kind of is. You like to see that.
And you changed when Chris gave him his Hall of Fame tie.
That's what your takeaway was, that I used a word that had more than 2 syllables?
I think that's fantastic. He is a different guy. Look, all the guys that come in as rookies, you're so uncomfortable. Everything's new. It's a much harder transition than anybody gives him credit for. You know, and then look,
Coach Mangini is trained by shut your mouth, do your job.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Wait, our producers are the best in sports television, but they got to stop playing these fun clips when Mr. No Fun League's out here. There ain't nothing he gonna laugh at.
Hold on, recalibrate. I'm just recalibrating. I'm recalibrating. Let's recalibrate in this segment.
Back to the Browns hosting Washington last night. Baker Mayfield gave us a glimpse into what an explosive offense this could be.
You're the best guest we have. I don't care who comes on here. I'll tell them to their face.
What did I tell you?
Stink, eat it. Cammy, eat it.
Baker.
Mangini is a pimp.
Entire segment is gone to.
Baker was 5 of 6, 77 yards, 1 touchdown. It was a great pass for Rashad Higgins. That's without Jarvis and Odell. Here's what Baker had to say after the game.
We were calling as it goes. You know, kind of had an idea of what we wanted to do. Not really knowing exactly what they were going to come out when we were playing that fast, but just seeing the adjustments and checking the ball down when they're carrying the seams and stuff like that. Get the ball down to your back quickly and let them do some work, and they did a good job. There's situations where, yeah, we can press the tempo a little bit, and I think, you know, once we get comfortable in that, we can be pretty good at playing fast and having success, but we got to be good at it all.
All right, Coach, let's get that energy back up. Let's get excited for this.
Energy hasn't dropped.
Basically,
maybe yours has.
Maybe exactly where it is. You think Baker is going to take a giant step this season? Does he need to after what you saw last year?
Look, it's the first preseason game. They went no huddle out of the bat, which is it's great to work on defensively, but it's not like they were facing the 85 Bears. You know, it's the first drive of the first preseason game, and they celebrated like it was the AFC Championship game. And look, that's a lot of fun, and they're having a ton of fun, and that's great. And let's just see where this goes.
Coach,
I mean, to celebrate that much after the first touchdown of the first preseason game, it seemed a little excessive.
Surprising that you had an issue with that.
And it didn't. Yeah, I mean, it was fun.
But hold on.
I wish he had been.
What's the? Hold on, Coach. Hold on.
Okay.
And I agree with Chris. You are my favorite guest, even though you're so wrong about my guy.
And then
Patrick
you're going to put
But
okay.
what is the negative to being excited about the success? What is the negative to, with that, by the way, the player that caught that pass is fighting for his spot in the quarterback hierarchy. He knows he tops out at number 3 on this team now with the addition of Beckham when they have Jarvis Landry, and Njoku's probably going to get more targets than him. For them to do that, and Freddie Kitchens' first drive as an NFL head coach, albeit it's in the preseason, they went no huddle. They were crisp. They were sharp. Baker didn't make any mistakes, and that was a hell of a throw. throw right there. There's no downside. They weren't showing up the opponent. They weren't doing, what is the negative too? Man, that was awesome. That's a hell of a way to start this year, the first year with real expectations for this franchise in years and years and years.
It's great. It's great energy. It's fantastic. But this is a marathon, not a sprint. And it's the equivalent of, you start a marathon, you get 100 yards out, and you're celebrating like you just, finished 26 miles. Like that's the equivalent. It's the first drive of the first preseason game with no game planning, when you spring no huddle on them, and you're taking pictures in the end zone. And maybe that's what you want to be, but this is a long season, and I hope that energy and that passion and that enthusiasm is going to be there when there's adversity and difficulty and the season drones on.
Hey, is Colin Cowherd in there?
Why?
Is he in there?
He could fit in here.
I mean, because
that's a good summer.
That's one of the things that Colin has a problem with Baker. And typically, man, there's different courses for different horses. And everyone likes their players to look a certain way, sound a certain way. I don't mind Baker. The reason why is because I know it's authentic. Do I have huge expectations for him in his second year to be able to make strides? Yes, but they won't be, most of them, on the field. They'll be in the classroom. They will be recognizing the defense. But Baker, I believe, will be one of the great leaders. I believe he can lead a group of NFL players, and there's only a few people that can do that. So when you have a guy that's struggling for a spot and you connect with him on the field, yeah, as a wide receiver, I want that quarterback coming down because he knows my story and he feels it. I see him do it with Jarvis. I know he's going to do it with OBJ. Now, why ain't he come down there and yell at me? So why ain't he come down and holler at me? Why ain't he come down and take a picture with me? So a lot of times when you are the energy, which I used to be on almost every team I've been on since 8 years old, when I come in and I'm not saying anything, people ask me, Chris, you okay? Is everything all right? It's been like, no, I just don't feel like yelling and jumping around today. I'm focused on what I'm going to have to do. So that's what Baker's got to face now. Now people want him to be more like Tom. Tom Brady, if he had done that, we would have been cool with it. I see Tom celebrate. I see him join his teammates. So Baker, I want Baker to continue to develop as a leader. Go ahead.
And you want the quarterback to celebrate with his teammates, and you want the team to celebrate each other's success. That's fine. And Tom would celebrate. It just wouldn't be that excessive. And I've said this before, part of winning consistently is learning how to deal with adversity and then learning how to deal with success. And if the first time you have success, you start lashing out at reporters that didn't treat you the way you thought you should be treated, or quarterbacks that you used to compete against, or whatever the case may be, it just seems a little bit much for what's been done to this point, and it's good to take a step back. I liked Kyler Murray, but just poised, confident, humble, moving on to the next challenge.
Now, I mentioned before that I thought in year number 2, I mentioned Colin's name as an example of things that I would like to see, because if I'm a starting quarterback, and I've been in this league a long time, I had people criticize me. I can understand when you see them in the locker room, you want to say something to them. But ultimately, I always knew there wasn't anybody criticizing me that I would trade positions with them. They would trade positions with me. Being a starting receiver in the league, you can criticize me. I'll never be a journalist like you, but I know you wish you could be doing this. And in Baker's case, some of that stuff is petty, and some of that stuff you have to let go. I think the Colin thing, it's not necessary. There is no one in the media that's important enough for an NFL quarterback to have to go out of his way to be able to get back at him. You're going to have coaches that are in your locker room that are around the league, and ultimately you're going to have to see them and how you deal with them. I hope that they're all not like Hugh Jackson, that I'm trying to stick a knife in them every time I can see them in public, because their coach is going to lose their job. You're going to see them eventually because they're pro coaches. They're around this league. So I do believe in year number 2, I'd like to be able to see some growth in that area.
And that's totally fair, because that is where Baker's different, is that you got a lot of guys who get criticized by people on shows like this. Almost every quarterback in the league, even Tom Brady, has people like myself a couple years ago saying he's approaching the end of the run. And the only way Tom ever responded to it was when the audio was played for him on that Facebook show. He didn't go out of his way. So he's different. And Baker is an
That was
outlier.
nice too, Tom.
Right,
That was
I
classy.
appreciate that. And Baker's an outlier in that regard. But when it comes to exuberance, when it comes to being excited, one of my biggest pet peeves of sports commentary is people say, act like you've been there before, when in fact, you've never been there. Baker's never experienced what he experienced yesterday. He's never gone into a season as the NFL starting quarterback unquestioned for a team. He's never gone into a season with real expectations like this at the pro level. And so that individual moment was unique and was important. And while we can downplay the importance of that first drive going well, if the first play was a pick the other way, we'd be talking about it in a different context. And so sometimes one of the reasons the critique is, well, will he keep this up when things are bad? Let's criticize him if he doesn't. Let's not preemptively criticize him because we think he might not.
People give me a lot of credit, excuse me, Coach, people give me a lot of credit for Larry Fitzgerald's career. But let me tell you, our skill set, very, very similar. Our career arc, very, very similar. But on the football field, when I score a touchdown and he scores a touchdown is where we become different, all right? I would celebrate. I would drop on my knee and say a prayer. I would celebrate with teammates, take a picture. We played Shannon and them. I did that flex thing like Shannon always did. I looked right at the sideline, looked right at him and did like this. Eat some of that. I would do
in a real game, though, right?
In a real game. So, but Larry, his personality was hand the ball to the referee. I didn't teach him that. I taught Larry to be himself, and when we score, he is himself, and that's the big difference. So I have to be able to accept that.
And I disagree that he hasn't had expectations. When you're the #1 overall draft pick, there are inherent expectations with everything you do. So to say that transitioning into the first preseason game, running a no-huddle drive against a defense that struggled a little bit the year before, and being able to score and then running down and taking pictures. And look, it's in the context of all the other things that have happened. And you can say what you want to say about Hugh Jackson, but he drafted the kid. He wanted the kid to be successful. He got fired and went and worked for another team, and you take shots at him. I think you can be gracious in your success. And there's a lot more people are going to respect that and follow that than every time you have success, you take someone else's face and rub it in it.
Well said, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us today, Coach.
Wait a second.
Have a great weekend.
Colin, come out. I know you're in there, bro.
I digested him already.
Talk about the Giants quarterback situation next on First Things First.
Pop your collar, Coach.
Thank you.
And if he does it in the regular season when the games count, it's going to be